Welcome to CHS Group Orientation. This is Module 1, Section 1, the role of a CLS instructor. Starting a new job can be intimidating. There's an overwhelming number of rules, instructions, and expectations to learn. This field is no different. Working with vulnerable clientele requires maturity, honesty, a good work ethic, and good judgment on the part of our employees. Orientation training is your first step to learning your role. Our training program will not address every possible scenario, so we require staff to attend future in-services and staff meetings. We also highly encourage staff to ask questions. We want our staff to teach, assist, and prompt our clients to learn a task to the best of their ability and within the guidelines of our funders and the treatment plan. In other words, staff are not expected to clean, cook, or do laundry for the client. They're expected to teach the client how to do these tasks for themselves. There are 4 significant roles we expect our staff to perform every time they're on the clock with our clients. Some of you will perform these roles well from the start, but everyone's learning curve is different. The more experience you have in the field, the better you'll be at understanding and recognizing what role you should be performing. In addition, the quality of your performance will improve as well. The first role of a CLS instructor is that of a teacher. The teacher hat is one that you should be wearing at all times while on shift. There are so many ways to teach someone something. You just have to match the right technique with the right person. Every little activity from cleaning the house to building relationships will need staffing support. Some of the things that we're hired to teach our clients are things like laundry, meal planning, grocery shopping, meal prep and cleanup, personal grooming, conflict management, relationship building, community mobility, money management, and household chores. Sometimes, in order to teach, we give our clients verbal instructions in the form of a lecture. Sometimes we give physical instruction in the form of hand over hand. Sometimes we role model, so we display the correct way to do something while the client observes. And sometimes we use direct contact, hands-on, to help clients understand how to do the task at hand. However, most of us understand and retain the best when we're allowed to be directly involved with whatever the learning task is. The next slide is an example of how this works for doing laundry. Helping a client learn to do laundry can begin as simply as saying, "You don't have too many clothes left. When do you want to wash them next?" If the client can't come up with a reasonable answer, staff should prompt, "Let's wash them this evening or tomorrow, you pick." Giving a client an option is always the best way to go. If the client refuses, after the appropriate amount of prompting, which is really the point at which it starts to feel like a battle, staff should leave it alone and try again on another day. If the client complies, staff should say, "Bring all your dirty clothes to the washing machine and I'll show you how to organize them." The staff will explain and show how clothes need to be separated in piles based on colors, dark clothes together, light clothes together. The client needs to physically put each piece of clothing in the appropriate pile with staff instruction. If the client refuses, after the appropriate amount of prompting, staff should leave it alone and try again on another day. If the client complies, the staff show which buttons and gauges need to be set. The client should set the gauges and buttons themselves. If the client refuses, after the appropriate amount of prompting, staff should leave it alone and try again on another day. If the client complies, the staff explains and shows how much detergent needs to be used. The client measures it out and pours it in. The client starts the machine. If they refuse after the appropriate amount of prompting, staff should leave it alone and try again on another day. Staff should document at the end of their shift in progress notes how the client progressed on this activity. If they refuse, make a note of it. If they did a good job, explain what they did correctly. And if they did more than the day before, make sure that you add that as well. The second role as a CLS instructor is that of an advocate. An advocate is a person who speaks for someone who can't speak for themselves. Before you can advocate, you must learn and understand who the client is, what they like and don't like, what scares them, what their desires and dreams are. To do this means that you need to build a relationship by spending time and interacting with the person. Some of the ways for you to advocate are to understand clients' rights and report any violations. You should correctly document client progress. You should follow the treatment plan as written, and you should encourage and honor client decisions at all times. You should help promote clients to be a part of the community and intervene and report any incidents in which clients are putting themselves in danger. An advocate also interacts with the clients in a respectful way. They should also ensure that the client needs are addressed. They should notify the clinical team if the treatment plan needs to change. They should notify the clinical team if there are any concerns for the well-being of the client. They should ensure that the client is safe at all times and report any concerns to the supervisor. An advocate should also contact the Office of Recipient Rights, the case manager, and/or their supervisor if they have any questions about whether or not something is a rights violation. Rights issues will become more clear after you complete recipient rights training at both CHS and through Community Mental Health. The third role of a CLS staff is that of a caregiver. We want our clients to be as independent as possible, but many times they're unable to take care of tasks safely or completely due to their disability. Some examples are dressing, bathing, feeding, or toileting themselves. Also, grooming can become a major obstacle. If a client is not capable, staff will need to ensure that their needs are met by doing the task themselves. You can never let a client sit in urine or feces. You should ensure that their food is not spoiled. You should ensure that they're shaved, that their nails are clipped, and that they're wearing clean, weather-appropriate clothing. Document any medication errors and follow the doctor's orders exactly. It's important to remember that ignoring a client's physical needs could result in a substantiated rights violation and/or termination. The final role of a CLS instructor is that of a good employee. Every company wants to hire the best of the best employees, and CHS is no different. We view a good employee as someone who demonstrates maturity, honesty, a good work ethic, and good judgment. For a person to be successful as a CHS employee, they need to be aware that the job can be challenging and simple at the same time. There are many rules, weird hours, challenging clients and families, frustrating peers, and possibly periods of time where there is nothing in particular to do. You will go through a number of hours of initial training before you work by yourself. Please ask questions if you don't understand something. Attendance is one of the most important aspects of being a good employee. Please be considerate to your clients and coworkers by being aware of your schedule, coming in on all days scheduled, and coming in on time. If you leave your work site without ensuring a fully trained CHS staff is monitoring your client, you will be terminated. This includes waiting for your coworkers in the car. You can only hand off the responsibility of the shift when a new staff enters the client's home. Part of being a good employee is avoiding staff drama. Staff drama is consistently an obstacle to great client services. So what kind of drama am I talking about? Sensationalizing things, reporting information is more problematic than it really is. Not telling the whole story, nitpicking, being passive-aggressive, gossiping about others, making demands, fighting with your peers in front of clients, refusing to work with assigned clients, or refusal to complete assigned tasks. Constant complaining is another issue. Do problems seem to follow you no matter what site you're assigned? Let's face it, if you're constantly complaining about the clients, your coworkers, your schedule, your pay, your supervisor, let's agree that this job isn't for you. Good employees don't make chronic excuses. If you're always late, you always need to switch shifts, you always have car or childcare problems, you always need to call off, or you always need to turn in paperwork late, then maybe this job isn't for you. Good employees don't scam. You're not permitted to run personal errands while working. You can't hang out with your friends and families during work time. You can't falsify your timesheet. In fact, this can be Medicaid fraud, which we will discuss later. Good employees don't ignore their clients or their jobs. No texting, no non-work-related telephone conversations, no emailing, no watching TV, no sleeping, etc. while you're being paid to work. All employees will receive an employee handbook and job description, which will give you further information on your employment and CHS. You can find your employee handbook at our CHS website at chsgroupllc.com. Some highlights in our policy manual that staff should know are nothing about work should be posted on social media, for example, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. There should be no blogging at work, no pictures of clients on your phone without written permission from their guardian. You should wear acceptable clothing at work, and we're pretty flexible. Tight-fitting, low-cut shirts and short shorts are unacceptable for girls. Low-hung pants are unacceptable for guys. No pajama bottoms for anyone. Secure shoes are definitely a must. Misuse of company property or client property, like losing vehicle or home keys, damaging vehicles, losing a client's items, stealing meds or money, will result in disciplinary action up to and including financial reimbursement of losses or damages if they are due to reckless behavior. Please note that working overtime without supervisory permission can get you disciplined and/or fired. Always contact your supervisor if you think the need for overtime arises. Part of your job is actively attending staff meetings and in-services. You will be expected to and compensated for participation in these activities. Also note that suspicion that staff are drunk or high will result in immediate suspension and further investigation. A final and crucial role of a good employee is documentation. Your supervisor will discuss the documentation you will be required to complete in the course of your job. Documentation includes timesheets or time cards, progress notes and goal sheets, medication administration records, activity and outing logs, incident reports, financial records, and health books.